You walk into a room, a party, a meeting, or even just a grocery store, and before anyone has even looked at you, your heart starts to race. Your breath hitches. You scan the space, you scan the people. You're bracing for impact. Most people call this social anxiety. They tell you that you're overthinking things. They tell you that you're too sensitive and that you should just relax because nobody is actually judging you. But what if they're wrong? What if the tightness in your chest isn't a sign of weakness? What if it's not a disorder at all? What if what you're feeling is actually a high-precision, military-grade radar system that has been running in the background of your brain since you were a child? We call this the ghost observation effect. It is the rarest, most misunderstood form of high-functioning social IQ. It's the ability to scan, analyze, and map out the entire emotional landscape of a room without uttering a single word. It is a quiet, invisible intelligence that runs deeper than anyone around you could ever imagine. If you've ever felt like an outsider looking in, watching the world like it's a movie where you're the only one who can see the hidden plot twists, then this video was made specifically for you. Because here is the truth that no one tells you. Most people move through life completely blind to the subtle shifts in tension, the micro-expressions of dishonesty, and the invisible hierarchies of power in a room. But you see it all. You see the ghosts of people's intentions before they even realize they have them. But that gift, it comes with a heavy price. Today, we're going to stop calling your sensitivity a problem and start recognizing it for what it truly is, your greatest tactical advantage. To understand the ghost observation effect, we have to go back, way back. We need to travel to the moments when your brain was still deciding what kind of tool it needed to be to keep you alive. Standard psychology tells us that a child's brain is like a sponge, soaking up language, math, and the joy of play. But developmental psychology tells a different story about children who grow up in unpredictable environments. Maybe you grew up with a parent whose mood could change like the weather. Maybe you lived in a house where silence was a warning sign, or where you had to walk on eggshells to avoid an emotional explosion. In those moments, your brain made a radical, life-altering decision. It decided that logic and play weren't enough to keep you safe. You needed something faster. You needed something deeper. While other children were learning how to play, your brain was busy rewiring two specific areas, your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex. Think of the amygdala as your brain's smoke detector. In most people, it's a standard off-the-shelf model. But in a ghost observer, this detector isn't just sensitive, it's hyper-calibrated. It doesn't just look for fire. It looks for the microscopic increase in temperature that happens before the fire starts. It became trained to detect the emotional scent of a room. But it didn't stop there. This raw, primitive alarm system began to communicate directly with your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for complex analysis and strategic thinking. This created a feedback loop that most people never develop. Your brain started using its fear center to feed raw, unfiltered data into its logic center. Every time a caregiver's tone of voice dropped by half an octave, or every time the tension in their shoulders shifted by a millimeter, your brain recorded it. It looked for patterns. It mapped out cause and effect. If they sigh like that, it means I need to be quiet. If they smile with their eyes but not their mouth, it means they are actually angry. This is where the ghost part of the observation comes in. Over years of this practice, the process became so fast and so automatic that it moved into your subconscious. You don't think about these signals anymore. You just know them. You're not guessing how someone feels. Your brain is running a sophisticated, decade-old algorithm based on a lifetime of survival data. But that brings us to the inevitable question. How do you know if you are a ghost observer? And more importantly, what do you do with this hypervigilance once you realize it's not a curse, but a code you've cracked? Now, you're probably asking, how do I know if I'm a ghost observer? If you've been nodding along so far, listen closely. This isn't a list of personality quirks. This is the diagnostic profile of a mind that learned to see behind the curtain. Here are the 7 signs of the ghost observation effect. 1. The weight detector. You walk into a room and instantly feel the atmospheric pressure. Even if everyone is laughing and the music is loud, you can sense the tension. You know who is uncomfortable, who is trying too hard, and who is actually in charge. You're not guessing. You're literally feeling the weight of the room's hidden dynamics. 2. The micro-expression radar. Most people listen to words. You listen to everything except words. You see the half-second twitch of an eye, the slight hesitation before a yes, or the way a smile reaches the mouth but misses the eyes. You're not paranoid, you're just the only one who noticed the inconsistency. 3. Predictive mapping. You don't just live in the moment, you live 3 steps ahead. You've already simulated how the conversation will go, where it might turn hostile, and how you'll deflect it. It's like playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. You aren't anxious because you're weak. You're anxious because you've already anticipated every possible disaster before it even happens. 4. The social hangover. This is the burnout. After a high-stakes social situation, you aren't just tired, you are wiped out. It's because your radar doesn't have an off switch. While other people were just relaxing, your brain was processing 1,000 data points per second. That exhaustion? That's the cost of being the smartest person in the room, even if you never say a word. 5. The silent translator. You don't believe what people tell you. You believe what their actions show you. When someone says, "I'm fine," you hear the desperate plea for help. When they say, "It's okay," you see the wall they're building. You are the only person who doesn't fall for the facade. 6. Selective invisibility. You've mastered the art of being there without being there. You know how to shrink yourself, how to observe without drawing attention. You've learned that the safest place in any room is the place where no one is looking at you. 7. Emotional absorption. This is the hardest one. You don't just watch emotions, you catch them. If the room is angry, you feel the heat. If the room is sad, you feel the weight. You have to work twice as hard as everyone else, just to keep your own emotions separate from the chaos around you. If you recognize these signs, stop trying to turn your radar off. It's not a defect, it's your operating system. For years, you've probably felt that your sensitivity was a burden, a heavy, tiring, constant background hum. But I want you to reconsider that. Think about the world we live in. It's a world built on miscommunication, hidden agendas, and surface-level interactions. In a world of noise, being able to hear the silence is a superpower. The ghost observation effect is what happens when a mind is forged by fire and then chooses to keep its edges sharp. Yes, the burnout is real. Yes, the isolation is painful. But the depth of understanding you possess? That is something most people will never achieve in a lifetime. You are not a victim of your past. You are a graduate of a school that didn't have a curriculum. The question isn't how to stop feeling like this. The question is, now that you know exactly how the room works, how are you going to use that information? Are you going to keep hiding in the background? Or are you going to start trusting the data your brain has spent a lifetime collecting? You have the map, you have the radar, you have the code. Maybe it's time to stop observing the movie and start writing your own script. The world doesn't need more people who are loud. The world needs more people who actually see what's going on. Welcome to the club. So tell me, Which of the 7 signs did you resonate with the most? Drop it in the comments below. Let's see how many of us are actually in the room right now.